Ooh. Yeah, I need a bit of energy right now. It's the first time I've scheduled an episode. It's the first time I actually really prepare myself to do an episode. My feeling says I'm supposed to smile so that you realize I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Don't you see my smile, you know? No, part of me really is. That's the crazy thing. You know, I've told you already, sometimes I have this voice in my head. And recently, I'm trying to stop thinking too much and just accept it. Because I've been hearing voices for a long time already. And I've just been doing, if the voice feels good, I just follow its advice. And I don't know who that voice is. I realize there is things like telepathy. Only when you're stuck in thinking, you know what's going on. You can never open up to stuff like this, right? And that's what it means to be open, to open your heart. It's suddenly, there's a lot of possibilities, right? And there are more people that talk about this. I mean, Ramdas, for instance, who could speak with his guru even after he had passed. Yogananda, who wrote autobiography of a yogi, who met his guru in a hotel room after he had passed. And I have had experiences where I was sitting here in my room, and at that time I had taken psychedelics, and I had the feeling there were hands massaging me, and they felt like extremely old. Who is that? I mean, who's been telling me to do all these things that I've been doing? I have no idea. So I cannot simply say anymore, I know what's going on. Yeah, I can't even say anymore, this is a hand. What have I just been eating? I don't know. It's a really weird world. But I've made experiences, and if I go around and I speak to people, they're gonna sedate me. They're gonna put me on alcohol, feed me gluten. Yeah. They're going to give me a lot of yeast because that's gonna keep me down. Yeah, they're gonna feed me a lot of things that's gonna make me really numb and confused. Yeah, they're gonna put me on weird chemical things that they call medicine. And then I just will have no idea what's going on anymore. Simply because I gave into my fear and I ran to the people who are making money. So if you run to people who just are talking about money and they want nothing but money, well, then you're just going to be harvested, my friend. And I just didn't want that anymore, right? I wanted to stop being harvested. And I just have to do something. Because I always get back into this anger. So, right? Hey, there she is. One of the people that I have met some time ago is my wife, right? And she wants me to talk to you about her and to speak to you about how our relationship has been going or not been going and how things have changed for us. And now the strange thing is, and you may or may not think that I'm crazy, but this is just what's been going on. I mean, I met this beautiful young woman and suddenly we were married. And I've tried really hard to get out of this. Literally, I've tried really hard. You could say, watching porn and masturbation, it's one of the methods. Trying to talk with other women is another method. And ever since I met her, every woman that I met and tried to engage with and tried to talk myself into loving just turned into her in front of my eyes. After I had met her, when I would watch porn, Even, you know, because she's like, she has a light skin, right? She's, you know, white. You could call her white or Caucasian or something, right? And I haven't seen her, I think, in over a year. It's over a year that I haven't seen her. And I have no idea what she's doing, right? And that's my fear talking. And the reason why I usually don't really talk about her is because I'm afraid that it's not her. But recently she's been talking to me a lot on the inside. You know, sometimes I'm walking here, you know, I'm walking here and then this comes her voice inside my head and it says something, you know, she says something and I just say, leave me alone, I don't have time for you. That's usually how my conversations with her go. And then you could say, what the fuck is this guy talking about? I mean, he's just insane. Yeah, I think so too. You know, I really think I've lost it. You know, I must be really mad, and especially madly in love, because ever since I met her, I started also to make sure that I wouldn't accidentally land in somebody else's vagina. Not even kiss anybody, not even hug any woman, right? I really stayed away from women. And that's the crazy part, because I was actually so afraid of screwing up this relationship. And now what doesn't really help me is that I know that she's kissed somebody because we haven't seen each other in a while. So I don't know what she's been doing. I know that she once kissed somebody. You know, that to me is like a very deep betrayal. You know, I don't care what you're saying, who you think you are. So yeah, I was looking at her picture right now. And I'm trying to see her as this beautiful woman, yeah? But all I see is this vicious creature. And now that I'm looking at her, she actually looks a bit like me. And that's really interesting because we're talking about in relationships, it's a lot about reflection. You know, how much of our fear are we projecting onto the other person? Because, you know, I don't know what she's doing, that's for sure. But what I know is she's once kissed somebody. And she was the one that said to me, well, if we can't spend time together, I have to be allowed to connect with other men. You know, I have to get from them what you can't give me. Like, what am I supposed to think about this, right? What am I supposed to think about this? That when I met her, and she was the one who said she looked into my eyes, we did a soul gaze together. You know what that means? It's you sit cross-legged in front of each other, and you look into each other's eyes, and you hold it, no blinking, yeah? You keep looking into each other's eyes. And when I was doing that, nothing happened. You know, I'm kind of blind for a lot of things. You know, I'm kind of blind. I walk around blind. Everything I do, I'm just doing on feelings. Things have started changing a little bit when I started connecting more with my heart, where she has a large part in it. And well, her name is Luisa, or Hannah Luisa actually. You know, I like to call things by their real name. And if you have a name, then you should also use it, right? My name is Christopher, or Christopher, you know, depending on how you want to pronounce that. But it's never Chris, right? I'm not Chris. My name is Christopher, or Christopher. So when I meet people, I say this is my name, because that's my name. And then I would say her name is Hannah Luisa, right? You know, if she would choose now, well, I don't want you to call me like that, you know, call me Luisa. Well, but to me, her name is Hannah Luisa. Because you cannot deny yourself this part. Well, it's a little bit difficult if your parents have given you 4 names. But it's also different if your name is connected with a dash, right? Yeah, I don't really know what to do. I think it says call her Luisa. Because maybe that's how she wants to be called. I don't know. Right? If that's her choice to be called like this, I think then you have to accept that. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, Chrissy, then I say, my name is Christopher. And I prefer to be called like that. And if you keep calling me Chrissy, I just won't talk to you, right? I mean, that's just all it is. I mean, I can be really friendly and nice to you. But if you choose to give me a really stupid name, I don't really want to do anything. So, right? I just feel like sometimes I just have to get things off my chest. But there's also a reason why I'm talking about this. Because love is something you simply cannot explain with words. Because it's a feeling, it's a really crazy feeling. And it's going to turn your whole life around if you start opening up to it. Which you might do, right? But nobody can force you. So I haven't met her in 1 year. I haven't seen her, haven't talked to her. I've sent her some angry emails. Because we did this soul gaze, and like I said, you sit in front of each other, so you look into each other's eyes, and she said to me at a later stage, we actually didn't spend that much time together, but she said to me, when she looked into my eyes, she knew I was her husband. She just kind of let it slip, yeah. And when she said that, she was like, oh my God, I just said it to him. So, yeah. You see what that means to me. You know, inside I'm a little kid. And ever since I came here, what I knew was that as soon as I arrived here, I was looking for somebody. I was looking for somebody. And in second grade, I was 7 years old. You know, I wanted to love a girl, but somehow it didn't really work out, right? And I really wanted to love her. And I even had a fight with a friend. So already at a very young age, you know, I walked around in kindergarten and I was kissing girls. But everybody told me then, oh, you're not allowed to do this. They don't like it. Okay, so I stopped doing it. And the really weird thing is that every woman I've ever met, or girl, or teenage, I don't know what, you know, every time I started to connect with them, they just pushed me away. Every time. You know, I can shower them with love, but nobody wants it. Everybody thinks I'm weird and disgusting or something. You know, it's really strange. You know, I'm not joking about this. Every time I'm trying to connect with a woman, at a certain stage, they just push me out. And now I was at a point in my life where I had gone through relationships on and off, you know, I've tried all kinds of things. I never gave up hope somehow. I don't know. Yeah, I gave up on you. Because you just left me. And you see what that means. And I was going through this phase, I was doing all kinds of ceremonies, but I was always looking for a woman. And I was at a stage where I said, the next woman I sleep with is going to be my wife. And before I met Luisa, I was already with somebody else. But that didn't work out either. I mean, we spent 2 weeks together. We lay even in bed and were naked and, you know, she was in front of me. I didn't want to sleep with her. I have never not slept with a woman when we were in bed together. Never, ever. But with her, I didn't sleep with her. You know, she was like, yeah, she had what a woman has. But that just wasn't enough for me anymore. I wanted something else. You know, somehow my feelings started talking to me more and more. And then I met her, and it was really weird because we met at a place where we kind of did ceremonies. And she had been there, and now I had been there, and I kind of stayed for 2 weeks, and we kind of connected with each other. And when we left the place, we were like, wow, we're gonna be married. You know, this is it. We were really excited. But this excitement kind of turned into, yeah. So we had gone through all this marriage, but the thing is, if I would go around now and tell people, yeah, she's my wife, she would say, well, you don't have a ring. Well, where is she then? They would say, what else would they say? Oh, did you get married at the town hall? Did you go to church? Was there, you know? Then all I could say would, we did none of that. No, we were at an ayahuasca ceremony and somebody used like balm oil and holy water and he bound us together. And from that moment on, it was like really weird. And the only thing I remember is, that I asked her, do you want to be my wife? And she said, well, that's a little bit much, I can't give you that. And then I said, well, maybe we could just give each other a promise that we would try and work towards each other. Yeah, I can do that, she said. But that doesn't mean a lot to me, because I've had, asked women to marry me. They just, what does it mean to work towards each other? You can say, I can promise that, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna do it. Especially if I know then, that somebody, that she kissed somebody else. It's like really weird to trust people. All I know is in my heart that every time I try to be with another woman, it just doesn't work. Every time I got even an inch closer to one, I was like, okay, back to my room. I'm gonna keep working. Because somehow, every time I lose her, I feel really terrible. So that's what you have to think about when you're in a relationship. And when you feel like the love is missing, maybe you should spend some time apart. Because sometimes it just doesn't work. If you're trying, and if you're trying, and if you're trying, and it doesn't work, then stay out of it. You can just start the conversation. You can just talk about it. You can just say, hey, I have the feeling this isn't really working out. Maybe we should take some time apart. And then you will very soon realize if this is a relationship that can last or not. So for me, I'm in this very weird predicament that I met her and we slept with each other a couple of times. And to me, that meant the world. But I have no idea what that means to her, right? I have no idea what it means to her. I can guess, right? I can pick up some things and I can make up my mind about it. But in the end, all I know is she was the one that kissed somebody else. And maybe she even slept with somebody else. I don't know that. And I don't know if I would ever believe her if she would say she didn't. But in my heart, it actually says that she has done it. But I don't know if that's just my fear, right? You get kind of paranoid with these things. So you see, now I'm talking about it. I'm just wondering, what am I even talking about? This is called on and off, right? I love that I hate you. And that's something that you have to understand, that in some relationships, we in this kind of weird society, where everybody's angry, where everybody's full of hate and rage, everybody's kind of disturbed. We are all damaged goods. And you've been raised by people who are damaged. And that means we all come into this world and what we want is we want love, right? That's what all of us want. All of us, we want love. Yeah, we don't really get love from nature because we're separated from it somehow. And the people we are with, they don't know what love is because, they live in a world of fear. So you are being trained as a young child that love is something painful, that love hurts, that love is crazy, that love is, you really want to love your parents, then they spank you. And you think, yeah, that's love, it's pain, that's how it is. Love has to be painful. But I still feel all of that pain, right? When I think about that she's kissed somebody else, it feels painful. It's like hell to me. And I think, or I feel to know that she's even done more with others. And I think I can never forgive her that. So I just never want to be with her. And then my feeling says, give her a chance. Why? Why? If she's already screwed around. I don't care what kind of place you are. In my world, no. I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than with somebody that screws around and that doesn't take this here serious. And that's why, when I'm in a relationship and my partner starts flirting, I leave. Because that's just child's play. That's just child's play. People who flirt, if you want to be somewhere else, then leave. If you're still here to play around, then leave, right? I'm not here to goof around. Yeah, I've done that a lot. You know, I'm trying to be at least a little bit serious. But if you live with people and they give you nothing, like I've got nothing from her. All I have is a kind of a loose promise, the knowledge she's kissed somebody else, and the feeling that she's done more. But I've got nothing else to go with. But I know somehow I feel like she's my wife. I don't know how to deal with this, because I feel like if I would see her, my feeling would just punch her in the face. You know, I just want to vomit. You know, I just want to vomit right in front of her, and I want to show her my middle finger, turn around and leave. And of course, one thing that wants me to do that is my fear. So fear is a very big problem. You know, you want to open up to someone, fear turns into jealousy, and your partner suddenly is a vicious beast. Now, I've seen what fear did to the way I see dogs. I was bitten at a young age. I was never bitten. I have to correct that. I wasn't even bitten. You know, my sister picked up a dog, and I wanted to stroke it, and I stretched out my hand, and the dog did, yeah. And in my mind, I thought, oh, the dog, you know, he bit my hand, but because he was missing 2 teeth, you know, my finger is still okay. That's what happened in my mind. But the dog just snapped at me. He never actually wanted to hurt me. He also never wanted to bite me. But I ran to my parents. Look what the dog did to me. And that kind of started my whole fear of dogs. And I realized later, when I was working more and more with fear, I realized that the image I had of dogs was this vicious creature that just wants to hurt me. But the more I got to know dogs, the more I realized, dogs are just like people. Dogs are just sentient beings. You know, there's a real soul inside. But I could only connect to them on such a level when I spent more time with them. And what I realized was, there's a real living being. It's like a child, it's like a flower, right? That's the soul, that's the spirit that's inside of you. It's this very nice, kind of a raw egg, right? Like, yeah, you know, I want to jump around. You know, I want to jump into a puddle. You know, that's the kind of stuff. And now I also started seeing dogs like this again. But it was very hard. You know, it took me a very long time to get there. It took me a very, very, very long time to get there. You know, to work with my fear and then realize, you know, now I can play with dogs and I can do all kinds of things and the dog does. I know it's just play. You know, it's just playing. And maybe sometimes we just have a weird idea of what playing is about. So what happened, you know, I challenged my fear. I spent more time with dogs. Sometimes I went to places where there's dogs, and then dogs came. And I was just sitting there and I was holding my hands together, maybe like this. But I just let the dogs, because if you sit, you're on their level, and then suddenly, you know, you're all game, and then they come and check you out. And I just, you know, I didn't make a move to touch them. I always let the dog come to me first. And I think that's the important part, sometimes, right? So when I project this onto women, then I can say, yeah, sure, I have been screwed over by a lot of women. You know, my first relationship, okay, was kind of la. And then the second one was very traumatizing. She was just a control freak, and everything that went wrong in her life, she just projected onto me. And I was kind of the victim, and I just swallowed it all up, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then comes the part where you don't want to be the victim anymore, and you say, fuck you, yeah? And that's how I entered then some of my later relationships. I just kept saying no. And I gave nothing more than, you know, if I wanted sex, you know, I'd just have sex with you, but that was it. But also, you know, I was still looking for someone. I didn't really know what I was looking for. But at some point I knew it, because then you have had enough relationships and enough encounters with women that you realize, I think I have a really good feeling about, you know, it's kind of a mashup of all of them, but then the best version of that. Yeah, and so I also had been working more on my own values for myself. Who am I as a man? What kind of a woman would I need to live the life that I can live? So I knew already she would have to be very open to spirituality. And she would have to be very much herself also, right? She would have to be able to stand on her own 2 feet, but she would also want to do a lot of things together, right? I don't want, why, for me, it's like, if I want to be in a relationship, if I want to be a family and have children together, if I want to have a wife, then to me, this is top priority. Then I want this to be the best relationship I've ever had. Then I want this to be us tackling life together. And that means, if she would want to go to New Zealand, then we would somehow have to find a way to do that. If I would want to go to Spain, then we would have to find a way to do that. And, if we would want to be together because we really like each other and we want to have children together, then we would both have to find a way to make that possible. That's something I started to realize at a certain stage. And, that's what, for me, a partnership is. That's for me what marriage is. It's kind of a friendship, right? It's kind of a friendship. But the whole package, right? It's like the closest friend you'll ever have. So she'd have to be a bit like me. And some people say, that doesn't work. It doesn't work if you're the same. Yeah, but I want somebody who's a bit like me. I want somebody who has the same values, who wants to eat mostly vegan. Yeah, who has like a macrobiotic, I don't know what, right? Who wants to be healthy, who wants to clean, who wants to cleanse, who wants to do sex in a way that's like transcending what is going to happen, right? I knew I would want to have a relationship that's just the whole package, where the other person wants it as much as I want it. And that was usually the problem. I met somebody and I would have wanted it if they would have wanted it, but they didn't really want it, right? As soon as it got a bit like hard, they always ran away. And now I have the same thing with her, right? Because to me, where is she? She's gone. That's not my predicament. I'm trying to keep this out of here, but you have to understand that a huge part of my emotional life revolves around that woman. I'm very concerned about her because she never ever says anything to me. The closest I got to her saying something was when she said to me in one email, I have nothing to say to you anymore. And that you get from a woman where, that said, I saw in you my husband, and you think, yeah, what the fuck does that mean? You kissed somebody else, I don't know what else you've been doing. It's like very strange. So you also realize that I'm in a position right now where I have a very good reason to be afraid. It's a crazy trust exercise. Because I know, although I've been saying this and I've been trying it, I know that I would never sleep with another woman until I've met her. But she's avoiding me in all kinds of ways, right? She's just running away like a scared little girl. And I don't know if I'm supposed to think that's courageous or cute, if I'm supposed to chase her. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But what I decided at one point, I'm gonna do it a bit like I did it with dogs, right? Because I realized if I'm afraid of dogs and I go chasing them, yeah, it's not very, very smart because I'm just gonna end up punching them. So my thing was, I started saying to myself, I'm going to just sit and wait. And I'm gonna work with these emotions of anger and fear and frustration. And as much as I hate it, I just have to accept that right now. Because I made a choice at that point and I said the next woman I sleep with is going to be my wife. Now I could have kept running around like a ping pong ball, which I still tried, which just didn't work because I know I've said it. And then I made the choice and I slept with her. And that's it then, my friend. I mean, when you married a woman, why are you still looking for others? Now, you may be probably already living together with her. So you have the privilege to actually love her. to actually be with her, to spend time with her, to cuddle and to really fuse with her, to become kind of this one parental entity, right? Where you do what she likes and she does what you like, but you also do what you like and she supports you in doing that. I mean, that's the whole goal, isn't it? That's where you want to be. Yeah. Do your homework. So this episode is called On and Off. You know, I love that I hate you. And it's this on and off, right? You know, I love you, I hate you. I love you, and it's like, I love you, you know, come closer, and I hate you. I love you, I hate you. I love you, I hate you. And it's like pull and shove, you know, you pull them towards you, I love you, and then you shove them away from you. And that's just, you know, we're working here with transitions, right? I go from one phase to the next phase of my life. So, you know, now I may be addicted to pornography, and then I work on that. No, and introduce other things so that in the end I have a lot of things to keep me busy so that I don't even have to watch pornography anymore. Or masturbate for that matter. I want to close this because it makes me nervous. You see, and so yeah, absolutely, I can see the benefit. I can see the benefit of me being alone in my room and learning to love my wife from a distance. I can see the benefit. Because she can figure out who she is, and I can figure out who I am. But you also have to understand, I'm figuring out who I am, while what I want is to be together with her. She is my muse, right? I mean, she is super tough. You know, I know she's doing dancing. I don't know if she still does it. I don't know these things, right? You know, the only thing I know is that I have a feeling we got married and our souls are bonded for life. But in terms of material stuff, she's not here because people generally say if you're married, you have to be together. But she's very far away, physically. But emotionally, she's right here all the time. And that's a lot of people have this problem, right? Where they can never be apart, right? Well, the husband cannot go on holiday and the wife stays at home because the wife's like, oh, don't leave me. I also want to go on holiday. But I get that. Because I know, you know, when I'm together with her, why would I ever leave her again? Because that's what I'm working for, so that I can be together with her all the time, right? For life. I mean, for life. You know, until death do us part. You know, that's what I want. That's what I'm really craving for. But I also realize if we would have been together earlier, you know, we tried, it just didn't work, you know. We tried, but it was so much stuff that each of us had to go through. And she, you know, I'm a little bit older. You know, I went to study, I lived in different countries. You know, I did all my experiences. And that's why for me at the moment, it's okay to simply be alone in a room most of the time. You know, I don't even leave the house anymore. Since 3 weeks, I'm in this room. And I'm training, right? How to move my body so that I don't go outside because I want to be in this place so that I can figure out how yoga works. How my body works, you know, how to do these things alone so that in the end I can tell to people, you know, I sat with my depression for 1.5 years and I figured out how it works, right? This is what you have to do if you want to get out of your depression, and I'm at this point now where I can say, I know how it works. Even though I drink coffee, even though I still eat sugar, even though I still masturbate. You know, I stopped watching porn, okay, that's accomplishment. But all these things, right? I'm standing most of the day. My back is much better. It's like back pain is almost gone. I mean, I only sleep on this mattress. And I sometimes, you know, I sleep like 2 hours and then I wake up and I keep working for 7 or 8 hours. Then I go sleeping at 4 in the morning and I wake up at 9 and I'm like super motivated. And one thing that keeps me motivated is this woman who I've never seen for a year. The only thing I can see is her Instagram page, but she's blocked me. Because I left her some angry comments. And that's the thing, right? Love is very close to hate. It's like, why? Why is it? Because it's like your heart is open, I love. And then fear comes, I close it. And we stop sending love. And the goal is to keep it open. But you have to keep sending it. Because if you stop sending, then things are going to come in. Like, so you have to keep sending it. It's really strange to talk about these things. So to keep an open heart, you actually have to practice, to channel the energy constantly. So I try to keep giving as much as I can, right? I give as much as I can so that I get used to giving without clinging to the idea of receiving. And by now I'm quite good at that, I would say. Because I managed to maintain an insane amount of content flow. More than 600 videos on YouTube, more than 1,200 posts on Instagram, almost 300 articles on Medium, 26 books, 26 music albums. Right, I've done all that because I wanted to be with this woman, my wife. Although I have no idea what she's doing, all I know is she's once kissed somebody. She never said to me, I love you so much, I want to be with you for the rest of your life. She never said that. All I have is a feeling, that when I look at her, I feel something. I feel like this is it. This is what I got. But still, when I see her, she looks a bit like a monster to me. Like this vicious thing that's gonna tear out my heart. That's gonna spit on it, and then gonna piss on it, and then she's gonna shit in a bag and throw it onto my heart. That's how I see her. And I don't know if that's true, but what I know is she's kissed somebody. And for all I know is, she might have done more. And I'm constantly thinking, the first thing I'm going to ask her when I meet her is, I'm trying to pack it into a funny joke question. But the first thing I would ask her when I see her is, and have you had sex with anybody? And I'm very scared of that question. And that's for one reason why I feel like I have to ask her that. Because if she just gets angry or doesn't respond, or she responds and I feel like it's a lie, because I'm very good about picking up lies, I think I would just turn around. Because then everything that I thought would happen would have just happened. Because if you're able to kiss somebody else, like I didn't even want to hug other women. She went and kissed somebody. Doesn't matter to me. She did it. Right? So what am I supposed to do? Right? It's like, is my fear real is the question. Is the fear that I'm feeling actually real? Like a lot of people are jealous. Incredibly jealous. But if you're jealous, like it's a trap. Like you sit at home and your wife wants to go shopping. I'm gonna come with you. Alright. That's how some people are in marriages. The partner says, okay, I'm gonna take the dog and go for a walk somewhere else. I'm gonna come with you. Is this how I want my life to be? I don't know. Do we always have to be in the same place? I feel like I want to be. I would like it to be like that. And I would like her to want it to be like that, right? I would like the idea that if I would go somewhere, also for a job, right? Maybe I have to give a speech somewhere, right? I'm just dreaming or visualizing my future. Then I would want her to come with me and support me. But that also means, if she would want to go and do something somewhere else, maybe she works somewhere else once in a while, I would also want to be a part of that. You might think that sounds a little bit silly, but I think I like it. I just want to be with somebody that wants to be with me. Now, I want to be with somebody that wants to be with me. So I want to be with somebody that, you're in a marriage, and then how do you plan your day? How do you schedule your day? Because it's important that you spend time with each other. Because what I see a lot, right, people get so sick of each other they start running away from each other. So I don't really need friends that much, right? I don't really need friends. You know, I've outlived that. You know, I'm here to teach things. And some people want to learn from me. If you don't want to learn from me, then learn from somebody else, right? But, you know, I'll teach myself anyway. You know, maybe I could learn something from you, but if you don't want to learn from me, then, you know, there's nothing, you know, there's no exchange. And so the way I see it, how I envision or visualize the marriage that I would like to have, because that's something I never had, right? And it would be like, you know, I want to play frisbee. Maybe she doesn't like it, but she could learn to like it. If she just says no, it's kind of shit, right? Because I like playing frisbee. So why shouldn't she open up to it? Because I know when I'm in a relationship, you know, I can open up to anything, right? I can like a lot of things. So why shouldn't she be able to open up to playing frisbee with me? You know, like as man and wife, you just do these things together. Why can't that be possible? I say it is possible. But I also want to be with a woman that wants that. You know, that also wants to sacrifice, you know, maybe some of her needs for my needs. And I know I will do the same. So if it's not an exchange, you know, I give you something and I receive something. For me, it's important to play frisbee. I love playing frisbee. But that's something I want to play with somebody else. But what if she doesn't like that? Well, I have to find someone else then. Because the love I feel for someone should be more important than my need to play frisbee, right? And maybe playing frisbee is more something you do with another man, right? Yeah, maybe I just have to play frisbee with men. But that means that there are times where we won't see each other, right? That means there are going to be times where men do what men do and women do what women do. And that's it then. But that also means for me, because I've been in a lot of situations, you know, the way I envision our marriage is we're going to do some kind of ceremonies. I think most of these will be about dance and physical exercise, you know, stuff like this. Maybe a cacao ceremony. I don't know about, you know, things like mushrooms and stuff. But, you know, I think about these things. So I make a plan. How's it going to be, right? How do I want my wife and I to engage with each other? Well, most of it is just happening in my head. Of course, when we would live together, we would have to really figure that out. And that's what a lot of people don't really do, right? You know, you have to observe what works, what doesn't work. So you have to observe right now, we're spending a lot of time with each other. And it's kind of making us hate each other, right? You know, we don't really miss each other anymore. And that's an important part. Sorry, I have to stand on this thing. There's a weight balancing board. Because it makes oh yeah, it's much better for my legs, to be honest. Because I have to constantly maintain balance, and then I don't as easily. Just take this off now. I'm just gonna show you so you know I'm not lying. I don't know if you see that. It's just this thing, right? Just stand on it. And that's what I stand on most of the day. And that really helped my spine, because if I stand like this, I can feel how my lower back is actually, the muscles are being worked. And how is it when I stand like this? Yeah, less. So this really, I just picked it up and it worked. So you see, you know, I pay attention. I stand on a laptop, my back starts to feel really weak. I stand on this thing, it works a bit better. But I also have to build up strength, right? It takes a while to figure out how I like to work. So if you are in a relationship and you feel like things aren't going well, and it's this constant like, you know, sometimes you have sex, but then you wake up the next morning and you hate each other again. Well, the thing is, you have to understand what sex does, right? It's like being one, right? I mean, you realize what that means, to be one. It means that if you're not one anymore, you will feel separated. So you're in love when you have sex. and then you wake up the next morning and you feel like she's annoying you. Well, then you can't just have sex all the time. So you have to learn to connect with her on a heart level. And sure, I know since we met, she's kissed somebody already. It's very hard to love someone that just ran to another man. And maybe that's the only thing, right? But then there's things like, well, I have to assume that she maybe dances with other guys. Well, is that bad? It's killing me. Because I wouldn't dance with other women. Not in such a way, I don't know. I don't like that. If I see, I don't know if I would want to dance with another woman ever. I think there have to be boundaries. That's just how I see it. Because when I touch people, there is an exchange. And it's always, what's important is the intention. So the intention, if you go now to your wife, right? And you say to her, yeah, there was this guy on YouTube and he was talking about this, that maybe, if the marriage isn't going so well, we should maybe take some time apart so that we can start missing each other and work towards each other. Well, you can say that, but now the important thing is, what's your intention? What's your real intention? So before you do that, you have to ask yourself, wait, are you just trying to wiggle out of this? Because if I would be living with her right now, I would never say any of this, man. I only say it because this is how my life is now. I have a woman that I love more than anyone I ever loved, more than myself even. And I'm willing to give up who I am to become the man that I think she deserves. While I have no idea what she's doing. I've transformed myself. Every time I was full of hate, I thought about, wait, when I would do this now, does it bring me closer to her or further away from her? So when I was faced with the choice, sometimes I was in a position where I met somebody, she reminded me of her, her voice was similar, she was kind of pretty. I could have slept with her, easy, but my heart wasn't in it. Because as soon as I even started thinking about it, there was like real rage building up, and I think it was her rage. And I realized, nah, I don't want it. I want her. Damn it. That was always that moment. Damn it. So my choices have been, every time, one of the reasons why I just stay at home and do these things is because I want to be strong for her. I want to be the man that she deserves. Because I'm madly in love, right? So the question is, are you madly in love with whoever you are with? Is that really the person of your dreams? So don't screw around with them. Don't go to them and say, maybe we should have an open relationship. That's just being a pussy. Because do you know what kind of people want an open relationship? Do you know what kind of people want that? People who want to get out of the relationship. That's people who are still looking for somebody else. Yeah, and then they go to their partner and they say, yeah, maybe we should have an open relationship. And then the man is too much of a pussy and, he just says, all right. Jesse, do you have no balls? Do you have no balls at all? When she said that to me, I just started shouting, no! No, I couldn't stop shouting at all. So I think she got the point. Well, I don't remember if that was before or after she kissed somebody. That's a point, I don't know, I just can't let go of that. Because to me, it's just the gateway, right? You kiss somebody, what else are you gonna do? Are you that easy to twist around? Because men can do that, and women can do that as well, right? Some people, they can enchant you. They can really enchant you. Focus. So what you have to do is you have to focus on your wife as much as you can. At all times. You know what that means? Do you realize that only weak men look at cleavages and butts of other women? If you are in a relationship, or if you are in a marriage, right? And I would say if you're in a relationship, this should be like marriage to you. There should be then only one woman for you. Then you have to learn to love her. With everything. All her moods or her emotional outbursts. When she shouts at you, you love her even more. Because, right, if she would be in love right now, she wouldn't even shout at you. So one of the reasons why she's probably shouting at you is because you don't love her enough. And then you're trying to explain to her. Yeah, you're trying to explain her feelings away. A lot of men can do that really well. Yeah, you're just being emotional now. Of course she is. She's a woman. And you think you're not emotional? I mean, you're just living in fear, my friend. Because your wife would never shout at you if you would pay more attention to her. Because that's what women love, attention. And if you don't give it to her, she's going to get it somewhere else. So I've sometimes just said, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm not going to give you any love on the inside. Because love is a feeling that you can send. If I connect with her picture and I focus on the love I feel for her, she is going to feel it. But a part of me also wanted to cut her off because I wanted to see if she really wants this. It's important to me to know that my partner really wants this. And I know if we would ever meet again, and if I would have had slept with somebody else, I just would have, I would have just ended. So what I'm trying to say is you're in a relationship. And as soon as you leave the house, you know what some men say? Yeah, you nourish your appetite somewhere else, but you eat at home. The fuck? You know how men do that? They walk around and then they check out every woman they see. Oh yeah, nice butt. And they talk with their friends about it. One reason, I prefer to stay away from men is because they're all like this. It's disgusting. And I get it, right? Breasts are beautiful. But you don't want breasts, you want love. Breasts aren't love. But, inside a woman, there's actually something that is very pure and very nice. And that's her spirit. And that's what you want to see, to glow and to sparkle. And when as a man you can connect with that and feed it, like give it love, right? Focus always, not on her nipples and her beautiful butt, that's all part of it. That's all part of it. But what you want to get to is somewhere here. And that's a feeling. You can feel that and radiate into it. Now I've been really avoiding that because I have been trying to keep her away. And you know why? I've been trying to keep her away because I wanted her to connect more to me. And in a way, I think it has been working. Because I have been trying to keep her away, but somehow I kept feeling her more and more, stronger and stronger. Yeah, I don't really understand how that works, right? But it's a feeling and it fills me up and it makes me do things that feel good and that feel right and that I can see are happening for a reason, right? Yeah, and the thing is you have to fight for love. You have to fight, you have to fight, you have to fight. And so if you walk around, you leave the house, yeah, and you walk around and then you go to the supermarket, and the cashier is a beautiful young girl and she's got a cleavage and you're like, oh wow, You just cheated. So as much as I want to hate her for having kissed somebody else, I've watched hundreds of porn videos. Looked at people, women on the internet, always said, yeah, but I didn't do it physically, yeah? I didn't cheat. Yeah, I cheated hundreds of times. Because your heart is cheating. Your heart is cheating. And so I feel ashamed. And that means I have trouble opening up to her because I know what I've done. I feel ashamed. I feel like, I feel like a broken man. And that's the problem. So, I already know how to leave the house and not really look at cleavages. But it's a mind juggling. You have to work on that. Because she's gonna know it. she's gonna know it, man. If you walk around and you shoot all kinds of glances at other women and you imagine how you would have sex with them, how you would penetrate them. I mean, there's men that are like 50 or 60 and they do this to young women at the age of, I don't know, anything they see that, has some kind of tight outfit, they just think they want to have sex with that. So it takes a lot of focus to only focus on one woman. And you have to train that. And if you're a woman, then you have to train to keep your focus on your husband. Because he's gonna know it as well. If you walk around, I see a lot of women, you know what they do? They take these sexy pictures for Instagram. That's just flirting with other men. This is cheating, my friend. Right? It's cheating when you do that. If you take pictures of yourself because you want to get likes. Well, that also means your husband isn't giving you enough attention. Well, then you have to ask him. Then you have to go to him and say, this is not working for me. If this keeps going, I'm going to leave you. Because it's not enough for me to simply say we're married. Something has to change. And sometimes, one of them, it's either the man or the woman, it depends, whoever wants to take responsibility for the relationship. One of you has to kick the other person in the butt and say, what the fuck is your problem? You keep running away from me, this was supposed to be a family. But you just sit at home, as soon as you come home, you turn on the TV, you know what I would do? You know what I would do? I would take the TV and break it. I would throw it away. I wouldn't give it to someone else because I don't want people, if you want such a stupid thing in your home, then you have to pay for that. TVs are just waste of time. And that means, in certain ways, I'm very strict. So if somebody wants to speak with me and they take out their phone and do things, I would just leave. Yeah, if it would be my wife, I'd probably break her phone. Just to tell her, never do that again. If you want to spend time with me, your phone stays at home. If we go for a walk, your phone stays at home. Yeah, I'm just taking it with me. No. If we leave the house, your phone stays at home. That's all there is to it. Because we don't, this is just holding on to fear. Oh, but what if somebody calls me? Well, 200 years ago, you wouldn't have had a phone and nobody could have ever called you. And that means if somebody's in an emergency, they have to solve it themselves. And that trains you how to be strong, right? And that's the other thing about marriages. I mean, I've been in relationships where everybody was so possessive, where everybody was controlling each other through the phone. I mean, I remember when I was living in the Bavarian forest and I had this, I could say, crazy ass girlfriend. But yeah, she also was just traumatized, right? Like all of us. And so I had my phone with me. And she always said she wasn't jealous. Yeah, she was really jealous. Because if I was doing something with somebody else, she would go nuts about it. And so I was trying to have a nice evening with other people. And, I was constantly texting with her. Because I was afraid. Because if I wouldn't text with her, she would get angry at me. And I didn't want that. So I was her slave, basically. But she was also my slave in a way, right? Of course, I don't want that. So to what degree in a relationship are you supposed to sacrifice your freedom for other people? Because, for instance, if I do sessions like this, which I'm probably going to do maybe all my life, I don't know, right? Probably I'm going to do art all my life because this is kind of my job, right? During these times, I'm not going to stand around and talk to my wife, right? So there have to be times where we don't spend time with each other. But for instance, if I would go and do a shoot in the Amazon rainforest, which is possible, then I would want her to come with me. Because this isn't just work, this is like also life, right? So I work at home. She's at home, and while I'm working doing these things, she's doing other things, you know? She keeps herself busy. But if we do a ceremony, we both do the ceremony as man and woman. And that means if one of us wanted to travel, we both travel. Because this isn't just, you know, that's something you could agree on. And we could say, we go shopping together, right? Yeah, we probably shower separately, but we go and go shopping together. You know, why do we have to do all these things alone? Yeah, I want to go shopping alone because I need time off you. But isn't marriage supposed to be something where you spend a lot of time together? No, isn't marriage supposed to be connecting with each other and loving each other and getting the most out of it? Yeah, so, okay, you know, I can ask her, do you want to play frisbee with me? I don't know. Does she want to? Maybe. You know, if she doesn't like it, if she really doesn't like it, it's a bit like anal sex. Maybe your friends have been talking about anal sex and how awesome it is, and you've been watching it on Pornhub and you think, oh yeah, anal sex looks really nice. Yeah? Have you ever really looked at these women? How much they look like this? You know, how they, you know, if you enter a woman through her vagina, it's generally like, you know, for both, it's very pleasurable. You don't need to put anything in there. You know, you don't feel dirty because somebody just fucked you in the ass. You know, there's no shit involved. It's just a very clean place. So you think anal sex is a very nice thing. And then you go to her and you say, I want to have anal sex. And then she says, oh, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? Oh, yeah, really? Oh, how nice. You're so excited because you're so selfish and you want to get what you want. You don't even realize that she doesn't want it because you actually don't care. Yes, so sure, if I would ask her, do you want to play frisbee? And she would say no, then I just accept that. You know, I could say, don't you want to try? Maybe. But if I try and I realize she's not really into this, I would just stop it. You know, I would just stop and I would say, all right, you know, do something else then, whatever. I'll just find someone else to play frisbee with. Because if I spend time playing frisbee with somebody else, then I can miss her, and then I go back. I don't really know, man. I don't really know, man. I don't really want to. I just don't want her anymore. That's just how it feels like. I just don't want to be with her at all anymore. You know, that's the truth. I see an image of her and I really try loving her, but I just think, I don't fucking know who you are. Like, you never gave me anything. You know, that's the truth. And that has nothing to do with love or hate or whatever. That's just looking at somebody's image and realizing this person doesn't exist. You know, she's just like everybody else. Just like everybody else. Who said to me, yeah, okay, and then she realized what it's about, you know, what I have emotionally going on with me. And that's all there is to it. And so I can't really teach you anything about relationships or love. You know, I can say a lot of things, but it never worked out for me. It never ever worked out for me. I mean, I go on the internet and I meet a woman, you know, a young woman, and I think, wow, she looks so beautiful. And I can see, you know, that there's this beautiful woman inside of her. And I start writing to her and she says, you know, she wants money. And I say, oh, you know, I think I'll just give you love instead, right? You want money, I'll just give you love instead. And I send her these beautiful poems, and I say to her, hey, don't you want to talk to me? You know, don't you want to engage with me? And I send her these beautiful poems, and what does she do? She blocks me. You know, this is the kind of world we're living in. You know, it's like everybody's kind of sick, right? You know, I really try to open my heart to other people. And I really tried giving them love, but what I realized is they don't want it. They don't want my love. And I don't know what's wrong with my love. Because, you know, my love is it's actually quite honest, right? I think it's pure. But the problem is also I demand a lot. You know, if I'm with a woman and I can sniff her bullshit, then I'm going to show it to her, right? And most women don't like that. Because most women, they want to be treated like, oh, you know, I'm the most beautiful thing in the world. But I can't treat you like this. Because you're not super special. I mean, you're special, but to what degree, right? Am I supposed to put you on a pedestal and carry you around? No, I want a woman that can carry her own weight. That can carry her own weight. And I don't really understand anything about love then. Right? Because people think love is this soft and gentle thing. But it's not. It's determination. Because love takes a lot of focus. You know, if you're running around like, oh yeah, let's just have a lot of fun. Yeah, you can't really build and hold a family from that. So what you really need is a lot of focus. You know, you have to maintain the space of a family. Because otherwise, if you don't, as a man, maintain the space of love, then what's going to happen? What is going to happen? Your wife's going to get angry. Your children are going to run around. So as a man, you kind of have this responsibility of holding it together. And so when my woman comes and she says, yeah, it's okay, you can cry now. I say, why would I want to cry? You know, when I have an emotion inside of me of sadness, you know what I do? I do some push-ups. Because I cannot sit around crying. You know, let women cry. I don't even think women should be crying. Nobody has to cry. Because I think if you have a little bit of dignity, a little bit of strength left in you, you don't sit around crying. You know, people who are weak cry. You know, I've seen people crying. They cry like, ooh, ooh, ooh. No, I cry a little different. It's just tears running out of my face. That's all there is to it. I don't have to go into this. I don't have to be like, oh. It's just tears running out of my face. That's it. And then it feels kind of nice. And it feels like, you know, letting go. But that's it. It's just like, oh wow, nice feeling. And so I don't really like people who want me to be weak. And I have the feeling sometimes women even want you to be weak so that they can kind of take care of you or something. But I don't even want people to take care of me, right? It's like somebody comes and puts a blanket around you, although you were perfectly fine sitting by the fire without a blanket. And then somebody comes and covers you in a blanket and you say, I don't need a blanket, right? You know, sometimes I sleep here and I sleep on the ground. I mean, I'm showing you this. I sleep basically on the ground. And I cover myself with this blanket. And I have the window open. And I sleep with this jacket. In these clothes. That's how I sleep, right? And then I wake up. And then what? And then what? Right? I don't have the wish to be soft and weak anymore. I don't want to sit around moping about some woman that may or may not have slept with other guys. Because I simply don't have the luxury anymore in my life to do this kind of stuff. And the reason is that, you know, I'm not really depending on anybody's love anymore. So in a way, I don't really give a shit what she does. I really don't give a shit. But I know that if she would ever want to be with me, then there are certain rules to it. And that's simply how I live my life now. Right? I said at one point, you know, I was so convinced I have a wife. But I said at one point, I have no wife. Because there's nobody here. Right? There's nobody here. I've been trying for over a year to get in touch with her. You know, I wrote a book, I sent it to her. Just nothing. Nothing comes back. Nothing. Not even a hint, right? You know, I was hoping, she would just send me back the book. So I could just say, you know, okay, that's it. But nothing, not even an email. You know, at one point I kept sending her emails. I just realized, you know, I received an email that her account is full. Okay, so I said, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna stop that. So at one point I got to this point where I said, if I sit around moping about a woman that doesn't love me, then I'll just stand around waiting for somebody to love me. And so I just started loving myself. And I make my own baby steps. I'm not with anybody, I'm alone. I'm completely responsible for myself. Which means, I have lived my life. I was mostly alone. Most of the things, I went alone to Africa and I did a lot of things alone. Sometimes I was clinging to people, but at some point I made the choice, I'm just gonna do it alone. Because if nobody wants to be with me, right? If nobody sees what I'm doing and says, I want to love that man, I want to have a child from that man, then I'm just gonna live my life alone. And as much as it sometimes pains me, I also say, I don't give a shit. And you say, yeah, sure, you do give a shit. Yeah, a part of me does. But, if I can have a part that says, I give a shit, I can also have a part that, who fucking cares? Who cares if I will live my life and be married? Or if I will live my life doing what I like, doing art, going hiking when I feel like it. But if I can simply do what I feel like, if I keep doing that, then I know there's no need for anybody in my life. But if somebody would come and say, hey, you're it, then at that point, I don't really give a crap anymore. If it's this little girl, yeah, that I sometimes call my wife, or if it's somebody else. So I go online and I meet somebody, I see somebody on Instagram. It's like a girl, she's 22 years old, beautiful, like just beautiful. Not just her body physically, but just beautiful from what she does. She wrote one poem and that's just like, wow, blew my mind. It's like so beautiful. And she just keeps posting these really pornographic images. And so I thought, I can love her instead. Maybe she wants my love. So I give her love and I give her love. And then she blocks me, okay. But I still gave her love, right? I gave her something that other men didn't do. And I would have been prepared, right? If she would have wanted it, I would have gone through with it. I would have said, okay, you want my love? All right, let's see where this is going. This is the mentality I have at the moment. And you could call that the mentality of a warrior, right? Because you can only work with what's available. And right now, nothing's available. But sometimes I feel like, okay, I see a beautiful woman online, let's just see what she's about. And that's what my deal is, right? I just see what they are about. And most women that I meet are kind of boring, right? You start talking to them and you realize they're like super insecure, they're super afraid of anything. If I would meet a woman, what I would expect, that she would come to me and at least show some interest. Because I'm not running after women anymore, right? I just kind of keep myself like this. If I'm around women, I do my thing. But, if I find them attractive, I expect they're gonna come to me. That's just how it is. So yeah, I don't really give a shit, right? Yeah, super pretty face and stuff, whoever she is, that, supposed wife, Louisa, whoever. Yeah, I don't really care, right? I don't really care. The first woman that comes and really engages me and that I find interesting, game on. Because I know what I have to give emotionally. And I can live my life in any kind of way, right? I just want to do what I want to do. And that's creating content. And I don't know if that's ever going to work, right? I don't really know if that's going to work. Will it be successful? Will I be a failure for the rest of my life? I have one card to play, and that's me. Yeah, and that sounds very brave. But that also means that I have to work with all the fear that is connected to that. And that means every day when I wake up, I feel sick to my stomach with the fear that what I'm trying to do here is not working out. Yeah, so I just keep going because you don't know what's going to happen. Am I going to make a video that's going viral and suddenly people come and say, hey, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And suddenly you have millions of people following you and everybody wants to get your advice or something. And then millions of women come and say, I want to sleep with you. Yeah, at least I'm prepared then. At least I'm prepared then. Because I don't fall for little girls anymore. If I want to love a woman, I love her. But I also have to get something back. Yeah? And if I'm trying to love a woman, she just keeps running away. Alright, keep running away. But I also can't make it too easy for them. Because I'm an intense guy. I have an intense life. I have an intense mentality to life. And I can't be with a woman that just gives in to fear that easily. So a woman that I'm able to scare away just isn't it for me. Because I wrote the damn book of fear, my friend. You know, I managed to spend weeks alone in my room and create nothing but beautiful content that I find beautiful, right? You know, I managed to do that alone. So I feel like, you know, I would need to be with a woman that's strong and that also says, all right, you know, I'm going to tackle that guy. I'm going to wrestle him to the ground. I'm going to make love to him and have his child. You know, I always thought I was supposed to be the one. I always thought I was supposed to be the one. But I realized I did try it many times. But maybe I just gave up too early. I don't know. Maybe I'm giving up right now. I don't know. I don't know how it's supposed to be. I just feel like I'm sick of chasing women. I'm really sick of chasing them. And maybe that's the problem. You know, maybe I should really put in more effort and chase her. But I also really think, why? Why do I have to chase? Why do I always have to be the guy? And that's maybe the secret, right? The man has to go to the woman. I don't know if it has to be like this. Because there are women that go to the man, right? And I think I want to be with a woman that also wants to be strong. That's what I think, right? I don't really know what I need. I just have the feeling I gave up on love. Kind of gave up on it because nobody showed me that it's worth it. So I rather stay alone in my room, and when I feel a bit sad, you know, I just masturbate. Kind of sad, isn't it? But that's how it turned out to be, you know. You know, I just kind of accepted that I'll probably be alone for the rest of my life. And sure, even while I'm saying that, there's this hope that, you know, maybe somebody, and maybe it's her, but you know, I kind of never give up. That's also my mentality. I never really give up. You know, if I would give up, I wouldn't stand here every day and do this kind of shit show. But I think, you know, I never give up on myself. But if somebody wants to be my wife, I need a little bit more from her than just the cute idea of somebody that once looked into somebody's eyes and said, "He's my husband." Yeah, words are turds, and that's why, figure it out.